A lot of people do not know that one of the biggest miracles of life is to have people who are well nourished, competent, and inspired in order to build a beautiful country within the space where they reside. In a country where you have more than 60% of its people whose skeletal system has not even grown to its full size, or in the other words, we are producing a totally underdeveloped humanity. Research have proven that if a body hasn't grown to its full size, neither will the brain grows to its full size nor function appropriately the way it ought to function. There are medical evidences to show that first 4 years of your life, if you did not get the necessary nourishment, your brain is approximately 60% of what it should be. So, with our brain people producing the next generation, what nation are you going to build? Such nation is going to be a big disaster. If you don't fix nourishment, we are going to be an enormous disaster. It is waiting. It is a silent bomb that will quietly implode upon us, a case of which we witness almost in every part of the world. But in our country called Nigeria, the evidence is more than even vivid, it's more than glaring, it's too obvious. We can see it happens everywhere. Every individual has a role to play within a specific space where they reside, known as their community. Such roles as academics, corporate institution, public institution, etc., can only be grown to its full potential if the people who reside in that habitat, actually are well nourished, competent, and inspired by the right set of things within their community. Quite unfortunate, we do not have many of our billionaires being the solution to most of the problems that plunge us as a people. Rather, their greed, self centeredness, their, uh, I call it unconscious self loads, because some people might even hate themselves without knowing, have driven them to neglect the reality but build this fantasy that had already turned into a culture in them, in the continuous and the unnecessary taking from the poor. They just keep taking from the poor. And for the other citizens in the country, many of which do irrelevant things for their silly satisfaction, the result from such silliness is staring fiercely and glaring even to the eyes of the international people. In general, we have a lot of our citizens who love to fulfill their satisfaction in others people's suffering, or whose satisfaction comes from other people's suffering. People will just derive pleasure in enjoying see other people suffers. Quite unfortunately, many of the few brains we have in the country have chosen to go to strange land just for survival and to achieve better results in all they do as compared to what they would have been subjected to if they had stayed back in their own country. Nigerian people are on the top chart of such people all over the world. We have the likes of the Indians, the China, and some of the underdeveloped country or the developing country whose citizens love to probably travel from their country down to either Europe or America just to probably seek for greener pasture. And it is widely believed that no one wants to leave their comfort zone. That's it, popular belief, the narrative that flows, except if their home and habitat have completely turned against them and being seen as a strange land are supposed to be called home. That's why you see a lot of people who want to, you know, leave the country for whatever reasons, but the only reasons that is well known is to probably go and seek for greener pasture. I have always believed that the privileged people who have wealth, either by good means or by crooked ones, should have been using such wealth and money to build and develop enterprises, which will springs out talent that enables the creation of industries, businesses, building businesses, enterprises within the impoverished society space, to devoid people who massively move out of the country, aka the Japarians, like the Nigerian people often use this word is the Japa. So some people call them the Japarians, from running away from running away from their country, which often causes brain drain in such society or country or nation. This way, the need of going elsewhere will be reduced, whereby people don't necessarily have to travel just because uh, they are looking for greener pasture. Migration can be controlled only if the economic activities is established within the impoverished area. When you meet a happy person, you experience wonderful interaction with them. But when you meet frustrated, unhappy person, you will definitely experience a nasty situation. And this is what leads to today's topic. So in today's topic, I'm going to be talking about the anomalies that we have within our country called Nigeria. I'm sorry I've not been online all this while. I've just been busy. Let me not make an excuse. I've just, been not really prioritized putting out videos as I had once promised. In the last videos, I talked about how people should focus more on themselves, on their development, on how they can become a better version of themselves rather than pay attention to scantily pay attention to themselves and hugely pay attention to people who doesn't benefit their life in any way. In my videos, I always love to talk about things that can improve the people's well-being, welfare, and the development of the people. But quite unfortunate, like I used to discuss with some of my families and friends, that if perhaps I've been putting out videos that talks about frivolous things or whatever, that doesn't even help them in any way, I will have so much subscriber. So I remain Adeyanju, which is my name, and you're watching Future ABC Media TV. On today's topic, we're going to be talking about the anomalies in Nigeria. And like I rightly said from the beginning, uh, at least according to science, that's been proven that when a person is not well nourished, especially in their first 4 years, if they are not well nourished, there's a possibility of them not, growing their brain to 100% of what it should be. They only grow their brain to like 60%. And even people who function with 100% brain still make mistakes. Not to talk of having a whole lot of Nigerians who are malnourished, who are living within, a space, an habitat. Obviously, you will not expect uh, anything significant or anything good to come out from them. And if you looked at it from this perspective, you discover that in one of my videos, I talked about the fraud in the way Nigerians churn out children, especially considering what our population used to be in the year 1960, and 63 years later, what it is right now. So we have added more than 170 million people. Why, the likes of the UK, the Swedish people, the Switzerland people, and the Romanian people had only added in total, I'm not sure, is up to 50 million. 4 countries in Europe, and only one country, Nigeria, had added more than 170 million people with diminutive infrastructures that are not working. The infrastructures are not even being built. The one that have been built even before or a little bit after our independence are not being well managed. And then we say experience lack of power supply here. While doing this video, I just pray that they don't interrupt power supply, uh, which is really, really not going to happen. If it doesn't happen, well, lucky me. But I'm going to be talking about the anomalies, because some of the anomalies that destroys us came from. That was why I started from the source by talking about people whose brain are not malnourished. The second phase that I mentioned was to talk about if you are happy as a person and if you are sad as a person. So, and it all boils down to the overpopulation that we have in the country and the set of people that are being bet in the country. So at first, we have a country that has its leader whose priority are set on just stealing and looting the country dry. And then we have a lot of citizens who are not well nourished. So it's like most people in the country are sick in the head. And I used to wonder what could have been wrong with the people of my country, especially when you see some things happen here which you will hardly never find in another country, even country that are even below us in terms of infrastructures, in terms of development, and in terms of industries, and whose economy are far, far even below some of the economy of our states. We have 36 states in Nigeria and the central, which is the FCT. But I can boast that there's some country within Africa here, the economy is not even up to that of the state where I reside here in Lagos. And they are doing well for themselves. You don't see all sort of anomalies among them. And what are the anomalies I'm talking about? I'm going to be talking about every sectors we have in the country, ranging from the policing institution, the policing, including the army, the naval, the air force, and every other person. I'm going to be talking about our health sector, the housing sector, the market sector, transportation sector, even the family sector. If there's one that can be called that, because many families these days are sick in the head. In the last episode of the video I did, I talked about what people can do to develop themselves. And I promise I'm going to do this video, the one I'm currently doing, before I continue the part two of that one. After the part two of that video, I'm going to be talking about I'm going to be touching on each of the belief system that have ruined our life and has turned us to wanderers. You know, we should be called Nigerian wanderers, people who wanders around the world. There's hardly a country you get to know that you will not find Nigerians. There's hardly. So, if you look at our police system, let me start from there. Our policing system, you will discover that it is only here in Nigeria that you have police that stand on the that stand on the you know, on the highway, in our streets, in our whether the state road, federal road, or local road, and they are, during the day. This is not something they do maybe in the dark. During the day, police extort money from citizens. When it happens when I was young, I've once talked about this in a video where Obesere in the early 90s sang Waiting Spoil Lagos, Even Just Spoil Lagos, Shabam. And it was just then they were collecting 5 naira. It graduated, it matured to collecting 15 naira, 100 naira, and I've been to some states in Ijebu, and I remember when I was traveling that day, the Mopo, these are not just mobile police. In their uniform, they're standing on the way, fully kitted with their arms and machines. And the guy who is collecting the bribe on the way will stop every commercial vehicle. Even the one I boarded that day said it doesn't have change. They will give you the balance if they are to collect like 100 naira from you. So if you give them 1,000, they will give you the balance of 900. Even give you a code that you are going to give them when next you are coming back. If they should stop you to pay another money, you now give them the code that I have paid before. This only happened in Nigeria. I don't know how the international eyes looked at us, because most of their people comes within the country and they see all these things being perpetrated and nobody does anything about it. The former Mr. Integrity that claims to be the solution monger who came to enforce himself, or number one, in 2015, he tricked people into believing he's going to solve the Nigerian problem. He came and even he did nothing. In fact, Nigeria becomes more corrupt under his administration. Um, it has been known for that tribe that they had always come to ruin things. Insecurity goes on the high. Everybody, all his tribe men went on rampage, killing people, maiming people, kidnapping people, all sort of things, just because their so-called Dongoyaro president is the one sitting at the top seat of the land, and nothing happens. Now we have our so-called tribesman man there now. Some people will believe that he bought himself the seat. Some people will say he rigged, whether we like it or not. Is the so-called president that is being either enforced on us, imposed on us, or being elected by us. And he's the one sitting there now. And ever since he came ever since he came on board, I've not seen anything tangible he has done. Like I was watching Sean Kuti's video. And the way he described what the new president is doing, it's like a people or a person who is wandering in the wilderness, who is totally lost, famished, hungry, dry, and thirsty. And a person found such person and said, "Okay, where are you going to? You are lost, you are hungry, you are thirsty. I want to rescue you, but I have some load. Take this load, or you carry it, follow me." Instead of looking for a way to cushion, even if he has some food to give to that person at that period, give that person some water, and even allow that person ride on his or her camel to rescue that person. Rather, he mounted all the load on the camel on the person. He sat on the camel and asked the person to be following him because that's the way the policy Tinubu had given within these few days he came into power. That's how it seems to Nigeria. Overburdening people already. You came and you increased the fuel, so you remove the fuel subsidy that shoot up almost every commodities on the land. People who are hardly feeding before you came into power, you had to their sorrow. Such things is an anomaly. So going back to the police, police will write in their office or in their so-called station that bail is free. Bail is never free. When you go there, you want to report a case, you have to bribe them. You have to give them money to do the job that they are employed to do. The same taxpayer whose money is being used to fund them, to pay them salary, you still go and report to them to come and do what they are supposed to do to help solve a problem. You will be urged to pay. If you don't pay, they don't follow you. It's not they give you this flimsy excuse, there is no fuel in our car, there is no this, I'm the only one in the station, I can't leave now. All sort of excuses. Such things are anomalies that only happen in Nigeria. I've not been to every country in the world, but the little few African countries I've been to, I don't see police standing on the way collecting bribe. I've never seen it. Even in Republic of Benin, that is not far from us here, as low as they are. Well, I can't say they are low. I remember when I used to go to Republic of Benin the year, maybe 1991, 92, I started going to Republic of Benin. Then we used to exchange our 5 naira then to their 25 francs. They call it 25 franc, and our 200 naira is equivalent to their mille franc, which is like 1,000 franc. But now, according to the recent depreciation in the naira, in the value of the naira, I'm sure I think their money is even is higher than that of Nigerians' money now. Doesn't really make sense. That's to tell you the anomalies that happen within the country. And the second one I want to touch about is the health sector. And don't forget, I once said that when you have a full nourished people, they will produce beautiful environment. And the second one, if you have when you have people who are happy, people who are not well nourished cannot be happy because it takes their proper growth to build a beautiful nation. Beautiful nation produce beautiful and happy people. So when people are not happy, you meet an ordinary policeman on the road, he's frustrated. He's frustrated. He's not happy. His children are not going through to good school. I'm not even saying the best of the best school. His families are in disarray. He has to survive. His salary cannot sustain him. The DPO whom he is being placed under had to probably send them out, giving them what's it called, the target. It's like a racketeer. And no IG in this country or the police commissioner can tell me that they don't know about all the people who stand on our road collecting money in broad daylight. So many alien people who live in other countries, international people, have been here and they have been harassed by our police. In some cases, you will see their phone being seized, bribe being hacked. Most of our people who live in diaspora, whenever they come back, that's what they explain. They tell us how bad our policing system is, including the army. It is only in Nigeria you see an army beat up the same citizen is sworn to protect. They go to a place, they roughen off people, they beat up people, they people see army and they begin to fidget. When I talk to people in diaspora and some of my counterparts in the developed country, they tell me that they are always even so happy to look for an army that will slap them, because that means the government will pay for all their need for the rest of their life. If it should happen there, a place where they don't tolerate injustice because the people there are not well, malnourished like we, have brain dead. If you look at the system, you discover that most Nigerians are almost acting like brain dead. I live in a flat, but I can tell you for a fact that most of the people that I reside with think like sometimes my 7 years old son can even be compared to be better than them. I kept asking this question: what's the problem with people? Overpopulation. People who cannot feed well will go and give birth to other people who they cannot, you know, who can't feed well under them. They will be malnourished and they will grow with, I'm even saying 60% brain. I'm sure some people grow with, let me, 12% brain here. Their brain is not fully developed, not to talk of functioning properly. And the ones whose brain have even fully developed, the society have corrupted them. They hardly function the way a proper human being is supposed to function. So this creates these anomalies. Army does its own, naval does its own, everybody, nobody work or do anything within the confine of the law. People just act anyhow. They are like the Israelite of the old that the scripture describe. Everybody just do whatever thing they want to do, however thing they deem it fit. Nobody follows the protocol, the proper laws and order, no regulation guiding anything. That's why a police will stop you on the road asking you for the document of your paper. Despite knowing that they are not VIO officer, road safety officer, or the people who are created, the institution that was created to probably do that job, just because they want to extort you. And many people don't know because they are half brain dead, or their brain hardly even function the way it ought to function. So at the end of the day, you just see a lot of people misbehaving around, doing all sort of things. Police station cannot bail people for free. It is only Nigeria you see such thing. I don't know how, maybe if you're feeling what I'm saying. You go to a police station and it's written there, bail is free. And you want to bail out someone and the DPO is telling you that you must settle the boys. In Nigeria, police officer that are supposed to be law enforcer, they are now the thieves. Some people will even joke about it that if a police is chasing you and you run into the thief den, it's better. Or if thieves are chasing you and you, while running away, you meet a set of police on the way, it's better you run back to the thieves for covering. How many people as police people killed unjustly in this country? What has ever happened to them? These same police are also citizens. So the only thing that differentiates them is because they are putting one asho for maybe black or blue or whatever, and they stand on our road. I see them almost every time I pass. You can't go out in Lagos without seeing police marking at one bad road. The roads are bad anyway. Those are the anomalies. They will stand at where the roads are so bad that every cars will be forced to slow down, and they'll be stopping you, asking you to park. Where are your documents? People who don't have license to check documents. I can understand stop and search, especially if they are looking for something. It's only in Nigeria you just see police everywhere doing stop and searching for no reason, asking for document that is none of their job jurisdiction. Anomalies. Army doing their own. I remember when they posted army into our area here, they came beating up people unnecessarily, forcing all the Okada men to be carrying them for free. The same people who was sworn, who before they gave them the uniform, they sworn to protect the interest of the same people they had come to bully, to demean, to ridicule. Some young guys, some young ladies are being forced into the to the hotel where they are living to come and sweep the place, wash their clothes. Normal citizens being bullied by the same army of their countries to be doing chores for them just because they wear green uniform, carrying guns. The uniform was bought with taxpayers' money, guns was given to them with taxpayers' money. Everywhere in the country is totally messed up. And when you ask me why, you discover that it all boils down to the overpopulation and to the fraud in just giving birth. Imagine me like this if I give birth to 10 children, or my counterpart or my mate give birth to 10. What are they going to become in the future? And if unfortunate, most of us are not well nourished up. If you want to find all sort of anomalies in your life, just go and dwell among the poor people. Poor people doesn't know their right from their wrongs. They don't know their boundaries. They do anything anyhow. And they are the one who does most of this job. They are the one you find in the police system. Most of which, how many rich people wants to become police, even with their children? Police to what? To go and risk their life for ordinary citizens. When you go to the health center, who are the people that they employ in the state or federal hospitals? Poor people. People who are of the low class. They are the one who struggle to go to school one way or the other, and they employ them there. And what do they do there? Rubbish. I can't recall if I've been to any hospital except for private. Even for private these days, the type of nurse, the type of system, and the type of way in which they operate in the state or federal, institution had been imposed. It has been, transferred to the private. You go to banks these days. That's another anomalies. People in the bank who are working there just for the sake of you saving money in that bank will be treating you as if you had come to the bank to beg them for money. Almost all the banks, especially the old generation banks, the likes of First Bank, UBA, Zenith, GT Bank, you go there and their staffs, you feel like giving some of them head boots. Especially the females, mostly. It's like the moment they give them a little bit of privilege, they turn themselves to gods. It happened during the cashless, you know, everybody turns to God. An ordinary POS merchant become like a god like. It only happens in a country filled with anomalies. The policing system is bad. The healthcare workers are bad. If they begin to talk to those women who had come to give birth, you will think they are the one. I'm sure a lot of people who live in Nigeria or people who live in that who are Nigerians who are in diaspora who had once lived here for many years before they are lucky to leave this prison called Nigeria, before they are lucky to leave this prison to travel abroad, they will understand all these things that I'm talking about. See, how do you know the truth in what people are saying? Check it out. Ask other people if everything I'm saying here is a lie. Thank God I'm born in Nigeria. I grew up here all my life. I've lived here all my life. But I'm telling you the anomalies we have within the country. And I'm telling you what could possibly be you know, the widely narration that goes around is that many people are malnourished. At least we are the so-called capital poverty of the world, according to worldw.io or whatever. But the truth is just that being the poverty capital of the world is not even the problem. Being malnourished is one of the problems. So being malnourished is what plunged us into the poverty capital of the world. According to research, as of 2012, the agricultural produce of the world had produced food that 18.2 billion people can consume. And as at that time in 2012, the population of the world was assumed to be like maybe 6.6 to 6.8 billion worldwide. We produce almost 3 times of what could feed us, but yet over 50% of the world are still in abject poverty, still couldn't feed well, still malnourished. So you will not ask, what's the problem? The problem is selfishness. These are factors that create all these anomalies. Because I don't easily blame the police who is on the road. Is he well paid? No. If you see their clothes looking tattered, I met so many ladies who said they can't marry a policeman. Why? Because they always look dirty, look frustrated, look malnourished. They are not even well equipped. Most of them have died Sahara. So the one who are there now are only looking for a way to survive one way or the other. So they pour out their frustration on you. I mean, they can't pour out the frustration on the people who gave them the job. So it's on ordinary citizens. The same way crack edge used to behave. Somebody wants to form a terrorist group now. Instead of facing the administration that enable all the people who are called the so-called leaders or politicians who had plunged them into poverty or who build that hatred in them to form the terrorist group, instead of killing them, they'll be killing innocent people. Innocent people are always at the end to receive the rot that comes from every lewd mind, every cracked brain, every dead brain people. So the police, the healthcare, now go to the transportation system. I quite remember there was this year they were about to do the Salah festive period. Where I reside there around Ekorodu, almost all the Marwa, Okada and commercial bus increased their tea fare. When investigated and asked what was the reason for this, they said, oh, chairman. So they put some levy on the normal transport, overcharged transportation already. They now still put some levy on it. They said the money was meant for this. Agbero chairman. It only happens here in Nigeria. Agbero chairman is the one. Most of them live larger than life. I remember when we were young, they say if it's only when you go to school, you focus on whatever thing you are doing, that's what can bring you success, that can make you successful. No, just becoming an agbero. Now you will even be richer than someone who works in the oil company. Agbero chairman. They said chairman fed jump. So the chairman must eat, festive during the festive period. And the people who are normal citizens have to pay for that. Everybody is just like government on their own. I don't even know what the country will turn to in the next 4 years when you have the one who had encouraged them in this state where we live now as the president. The one who actually brought Agberoism. I don't know what the country will turn to. If when he was still a godfather after leaving the governor seat, the Lagos State governor seat after his 8 years reign, I don't know what the country will turn to now that he's the godfather of almost the godfather of their party and even the president of the nation from the same party. So the transportation system too is flawed. So I'm only touching on few of the institutions, but every institution is flawed in Nigeria. Except you are just a mediocre. Because if not, there's hardly any institution that you can point to in Nigeria that is working fine. No, none. The health sector, failure. Educational sector, failure. We are still here teaching people 2 plus 2 is 4. Ojebi. What is there? What is the calculator doing? Even if you can say if you can, add 2 plus 2 together. Why those ones over there in the developed country are teaching their children on how to become industrialists, to create machines that can help human beings solve problems or to soften the workload of human beings. And these are machines that will be marketed into Africa, into Asia, into every other. Even Asia too is doing their own too. India and China and Japan are the top tier tech people. Even in the United States, in the United Kingdom, they are the one handling the techs over there. Our Nigerian people, what are they doing? Ida Basi cooking food, and that is supposed to be like something which we ought to be celebrating, cooking food. Another one came, she called herself Chef Dami. Everybody begins to trend on cooking. Irrelevant things. If you don't know how to cook Ujebi, cooking for a long time, while their counterparts in the developed country are creating programs, apps that are generating billions. And the ones who are even cooking here are more or less like Olosho, the one that was given the Guinness Book of Record for the longest, which was in Abasi. If you look at her Instagram page, how does she looks like? She looks like a prostitute. Anybody who wants to die can die. That's the truth. She looks like a prostitute. Ever since she won, have you seen any recipe or any beautiful thing that she created on her Instagram page? All you will see there is just seeing semi-nude picture, almost nude picture being posted there, and that is supposed to make sense to an average Nigerian. Anomalies. And at the end of the day, we are supposed to sit down here and believe that this is the way the country should move forward, or this is the direction it should be moving. Our policing are bad, armies are bad, every health institution are bad. Worst case, go to secretariat. Our federal and state secretariat or even local secretariat. Jesus. You will hate to be in Nigeria. If you have anything to do there, you will see the way people crawl around and see if they are being begged to come and work. When you ask questions, the way they will respond to you, you will almost wish the license gone in Nigeria. Perhaps it could help reduce the stupidity that we glamorize and we romance on a daily basis. What about our markets? I remember my wife had gone to the markets on several occasions and come with all sort of questions, sort of anomalies and queries. Ordinary Maggi, people steal Maggi. If you want to a Maggi pack, perhaps I have maybe 50 pieces of Maggi inside. If you are to buy half, which is 25, they will tear one pack and count 25 half out. If my wife goes to the market and she didn't count the Maggi after the person who sold it to her have counted it, if she comes home with it, she will discover that two or three had been missing. The person will deliberately steal two or three. And to the person that is being smart, anomalies. That is being smart. Do you understand? At the end of the day, we have a failed country because all our institutions are failed. There's this another lady that I saw a video on Instagram through Phonics yesterday. She's routine to do 72 or 74 hours massaging. That's where we trend as a country. To go and do massaging for 72, 74 hours. How is that helping anybody? How is that promoting the good image we are supposed to be promoting in Nigeria? We don't have the people who we are supposed to be celebrating, we don't celebrate them. What do? We don't celebrate them. People who create machines, people who who solve a problem. Nigerians often don't appreciate people who solve problems. They only celebrate idiots, irrelevant. Why? Because they are malnourished. They are malnourished because they are malnourished, and their brain hasn't grown up to the best optimal capacity it ought to grow to. Not to talk of functioning well, because Nigerians are malnourished. So many people who are idiots, they wake up every morning, anomalies, to go and support one celebrities. I've seen people kill each other here because of Arsenal and Chelsea in Nigeria here. I remember in 2000, wasn't it in 2012, I was still working for a sport paper then. Chelsea just defeated Arsenal. Both Chelsea player and Arsenal player reside in London. That's where their club is being located, situated. And the two teams went to the same pub, to the same beer parlor, to the same pub to have a drink. They were chatting, they were laughing. They care less about the game that just finished. They believe that next time Arsenal might defeat Chelsea. Why Nigerian fans here are killing each other just because they are mocking each other? Hey, we beat you. Most of the people who kill each other, who die on top of other people's cause here, they don't even, those people don't even know them. They don't even know whether they exist or not. Our police are bad, armies are bad, health workers are bad, federal, state, local government workers are bad. So tell me what institution that works. Our educational system is flawed, filled with fraudulent people who call themselves establishments. My children attend private school here. I could remember the last section. We were asked to pay for inter-house sports. We paid. I have two boys who attend private school. We paid, and after we did paid, inter-house sports committee in their so-called school came up with the list of all the things they will need for the inter-house sport after we have paid for each student. They now send it to parents, people like us who like to do the right thing by paying school fees, as that when we ought to pay, they believe we are rich. They now send us different lists saying that however we can help them out to, and we should help them out, and we should what they call it, what's the word they use for it, we should participate, support them, the word, we should support a school that have been, whose school fees have been paid, the levy for this event you want to do have been paid. Each school owner, the dimbat we have in Nigeria as parents, some of them paid, some of them supported, some who are still even owing school fees for last time just because they are mentioning the names of the people who helped them out on the school platform, the WhatsApp platform they created. I know people who struggle to survive from month to month. Some of them brought out money and were paying, were given in support. The dimbat. I was here looking at it. When my wife was telling me about what was happening on the platform, I was just like, I've paid your school fees. I've paid the levy for the inter-house sport. What the hell else do you want from me? That's a total BS. Do you not know what they did? The strategy they applied was that whenever anybody give them something, they will not mention. When it's like 2-3 days to that inter-house sport day, they now begins to appreciate the people who have paid, who have supported them, mentioning their name and stuff like that. Some people, within the space of that thing worked like magic. Everybody now begins to send their own money in support. They're now mentioning their name. I was just like this. Firstly, the school is running business. If they should do inter-house sport, the inter-house sport is to help promote the image of the school, not the image of my child. Nobody becomes successful and plaster and paste on their head, this is the school where I finished. Some of us didn't even remember the school we went to. Or even the school doesn't even remember us. The only time you see a school remember someone is if that person becomes successful. They want to use the name of that person to trend, to paint the image of the school to be so beautiful. Like if the school I went to now produced a governor, everybody will be like, he graduated from, he finished from this school, he finished, so that the image of the school can be over bloated. So people will now begin to think, that school that produced governor, that's where my child will be. Fabu. So if they do inter-house sports, it's to promote the image of the school. Because people in the neighborhood will come and watch the inter-house sport. It's fun. People like fun in Nigeria. Everybody like fun all over the world. But mostly, yeah, that's where we prioritize our strength. By going to watch fun thing. We don't think. If you are to do debates or whatever things that can promote, that can bring out the best of our students, our children, our youth, nobody participates. But when it is just to run around fun and laugh and do all sort of things, people attend such events. And it's to promote the image of the school, not my school. If the school's image is being promoted, once different parents begins to go and do inquiry in the school and put their children there, the money they realize they don't give it to me. It's the same thing that happens to people who goes to unnecessary parties. I remember where I used to live in my father's house at K2 before I moved down to where I'm living now. There's this woman there we used to call Ayaja. She's a Yoruba woman. She gave birth to a guy named Rotimi. So presumably they said the guy used to die whenever they give birth to him, so they nicknamed him Dog. Uh, Anytime Yaja wants to go to anybody's party, she will cook in her house. The Yoruba people call them Abolo de Feluju. You are going to someone else's party, you are being invited to a party, you cook your own meal. Invite some other friends of yours. They will even pick an attires that they will go to the market to buy, sew and everything, instead of investing that money for her future or for the future of her children. She was lavishing it on irrelevancies. These are anomalies that happens that plunge people into penury. Our Nigerian people are not far-fetched. Go to US, go to UK, go to where they live. They are always riding maybe 4 cars, 5 cars. Doing what with it? The Oyinbo people that owns the country, they invest most of their money in things that can yield interest in the future. But our own people here, they expunge it on irrelevancies. They still carry the anomalies here, the one that are personal that the government of those places can't check, they still carry the anomalies from here, the stupidity from here down there. But it's just that the one that will affect the community, the government will not tolerate it. So you dare not carry this stupidity that you are being brought up with here to there. They will lock you up or send you back to wherever the shit old country you came from. So are these anomalies, can it be corrected? Yes. It won't be once. The health sector, do we have, and one of the reasons why this thing trend is that it's like an interwoven, like a complex situation. It's not that the complex situation, but like interwoven situation, because it all start from, see, the government of the country has never been good since they created this country. The whites who are governing us before, that we even thought they were enslaving us, which was actually enslavement. Can you imagine? The people who enslaved us, who had come here to rule us, take all our resources, they even did well more than the people whom we have been electing since the year 1960 to govern Nigeria. I am yet to see any significant leader that we can be proud of, like they have Mandela in South Africa. They call one the Ebola of Owu. It's one of the most useless presidents we ever had. We even produced another weak president that died, whose vice deputy, the vice president privilegedly become the president and become a woes that paved way for the rot that we just experienced in this last 8 years. Before we now have another one, the Mr. Emilio Khan, that had come to plunge Nigeria further into more penury. People cannot even feed well before this so-called one came. It came again, is mounting pressure on overloaded people, asking them to be paying more for fuel, asking them to be paying more for electricity, asking them to be paying more for grocery, asking them to be paying more for transportation. How will such people not become frustrated? How can anything good come from frustrated people? And the people themselves, so our government is bad, woefully bad, right from one side. So the people themselves who are supposed to sit down and think that, how can I plan? Instead of me to focus on whatever the inadequacies of the government is, how can I plan to make my life better and the life of my children? They are busy sleeping with each other, like Donald Trump once used in abusing us, that the only thing an average Nigerian or the Nigerian man knows how to do is to drink, eat, and sleep with women. That one said it sarcastically, but is it far from the truth? Does it not seem like it? What our men are doing, how is it different from the way the so-called lunatic of an ex-president in the United States of America said about us? He called our country a shithole. How is this place different from a prison or a shithole actually? If you are not living in Nigeria anymore and you are listening to my sound today, you will not know how much you have rescued yourself from this prison. It's only when you live here because the anomalies are. Let me give you an example. I live in a house that has like 7 flats, four two-bedroom flats, and then one room and parlor self-contained, which is like a mini flat, a one-bedroom flat. Three of them. The compound is big. They split our cutout and our meter into 6 portions. The 4 flats uses each meter, 1 meter each, which makes 4 meter. Our pumping machine that pumps water use 1 meter, and the three one room and parlor self-contained use 1 meter. I live in one of the two-bedroom flats that uses its meter. My fuse is even the first fuse in this house. 3 nights ago, one of our tenants who just moved in, not even up to 2 months, posted something on the platform they created for my house that his light is having some issue. Asking if every other person is experiencing the same thing, that because they have not paid some money, so the community people came here, they wanted to cut away with our wire, so they removed some of the fuse. So they went to the community people in the evening of that same day, which was Saturday, like 4 days ago, to pay the levy which they are owing. So they took back their fuse and came to plug it. Apparently, when they came back to plug it, there was what's it called? There was a glitch in some of them. Maybe some were not well plugged. Maybe they've tampered with some of the wire in which they use in connecting the fuse together before they plug it to the normal socket that will supply them light. I don't know. So one of the tenants, who is just a new tenant here, just came. I was complaining about it on the platform. So yesterday night, I have a visitor's toilet very close to me here. Is the one that is next to the door that leads to the outside. I mean, that lead out to the compound, to my main door. I went inside the visitor's toilet yesterday to use myself. All of a sudden, I just discovered that lights trip off from my apartment. Immediately, I peeped through the window of the visitor's toilet. I discovered that there is light in every other apartment in the compound. I quickly opened the door, went out. I saw this same man who just came into the compound. He doesn't know anything about the fuse of in the compound. And he went there, stole my own fuse, put it in his own and put his own back to my own. That was how I didn't have light. I was so furious yesterday. Apparently, if I hadn't gone to the visitor's toilet at that hour, it was even late in the hour when he did that. He's not the owner of the house. He doesn't know anything about the fuse, and he has no right to touch any other person's fuse. But he did actually. It only happens in Nigeria. He removed my fuse, stole my fuse. I had to go out and just tell him that, did you remove my fuse? And even right outrightly there, he was still denying, saying he never removed it. It was when I was persistent saying, you removed my fuse, and that what you did was wrong. He now removed it back from his own fuse, put it back in my own. I had to go there this morning to go and put a black sellotape with a paper that read, do not touch this fuse, or do not touch. It's only in Nigeria you go through things like this. For a person who just come into the compound, who doesn't even know about how the compound works, he doesn't know which light is which one, but he knows his own fuse and he can remove someone else's fuse. Had it been I have slept yesterday, I would just woke up in the middle of the night, see light in the other people's apartment. My house will not have light. I will now have to go and call an electrician to come and start tracing, which will cost me another additional money from my own pocket upon a problem I did not cause for someone else. And later everybody will come out and say Nigeria is bad. What we do to each other around is nothing, good to write home about. If I wasn't in that visitor's toilet yesterday, if I hadn't gone out, easily quickly detect. It was just like a coincident thing. If I hadn't gone out at that period, I wouldn't have known that another tenant has stolen my own fuse that works in order to put in his own that doesn't work, which he should have just called someone to fix. So if you don't live in Nigeria, you don't know what prison you have saved yourself from. It's just not pleasant living here. And it starts from unnecessary childbirth. People giving birth all in the name of grooming children as an investment so that they can go and hustle in the future and then bring them money to feed. Most people don't plan. An average Nigerian doesn't plan for their future. They hit everything now. They have money, they go to party. And they all still, it's the same routine of the same cycle. They still grow up to regret. See 20 years old, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old in Nigeria. When they think, when they talk, if you have normal common sense, you'll be like, where did these people, where did they crawl out from? Where did they crawl out from? Really? Another anomalies are the people who they call themselves agents. When they were the fortnight ago, the 4 days ago, when those CDA people came to the compound, I was asking for levy. Out of the, what's it called, 7 people who lives in this compound, myself and two other people are paid. The other one turned deaf air. And they've been giving them warning that this is what they're going to do to them. Nobody said anything. And unfortunately, the landlord used to live here before. He didn't live here again. He moved to another place and rented his own apartment out. The person he rented it to is the one who went to remove my fuse yesterday. So when the CDA people came, when they removed those fuses and stuff, the caretaker who the landlord handed over to before he left came into the compound. He met with me. He was now saying all sort of things. And these people, I don't even know how they do. And I just look at him and say, it is your fault. It is the fault of every landlord. It is only in Nigeria that people want to rent house. You pay for house rent. They collect commission. Well, I can understand the commission, but the commission must be in accordance with the agreement. How can I be renting an apartment from a landlord? The commission is supposed to be for the agent who brought me to the house, because I didn't look for the house myself. Someone helped me source for it, or people have houses who they have sourced for. So whenever people walk up to them that they needed a house, they will take them there. The commission for that responsibility is supposed to be 10%. In Nigeria, it's never 10%. It's either almost 25% or 20 or more. And they will say agreement again. In some places, the agreement and commission you pay is almost as equivalent as the house rent you're paying. Anomalies that only happens here in Nigeria. Then you will now ask, what am I agreeing to? Okay, if I now agree to something, must I pay? I want to rent your apartment. I pay for the apartment full. I pay the commission to the person who brought me. And I'm to pay the agreement again to the landlord to agree to live in your house. I'll still pay money. Why not just add everything up to the house rent? Why create an anomalies out of things that is supposed to be normal? Agreement fee. I'm agreeing. And in most cases, nobody agree on anything. They will just say agreement fee. You will just pay. In some cases, they will bring you. In few cases, they will bring you. I think it was when I moved to this place, I had to urge my landlord to ask his lawyer to prepare documentation that bind us. I was telling the caretaker that day. I said, if you bring people in and you agree, what do you agree on? Because at the end of the day, you don't agree on anything. The landlord is looking for a way to take advantage of the tenant. The tenant is looking for a way to take advantage of the landlord. Everybody becomes lord on their own. That's why there is no right and wrong. Landlord and tenant will fight and goes to the police station, goes to court and go. There is no right and wrong. If the landlord has stipulated his terms and conditions, the regulation that guide the people who lives in his house as an agreement, and the tenant read it before they paid and they signed that, oh, I agree to all these things, there won't be any issues. Most people don't agree to anything. I remember one of the tenants has been given quick notice upstairs here. And I think it was given quick notice. I asked the caretaker, they said he's supposed to leave by August. And he claimed he wasn't going to pay any other levy, lawman levy, sweeping levy, and the other utility bills inside, just because he has been given quick notice. He said because he has been given quick notice, he doesn't have the right to pay all those levy. If it has been stipulated in the agreement before the man came in, he signed. Even sometimes you might ask that person to bring his or her own alibi or lawyer. Why you bring yours? You explain all these things to them before they come in so that there won't be, and even if they want to start behaving like crackhead human, you just bring out this file and say, but you read this. I even explained this to you. Even have a video to show for you. I told you this. Didn't you watch it in the video I sent to you? Before you are the one who even signed. Did I help you sign here? So why are we having disagreement when you already agree to every terms and condition? Why is it now that you are saying that person can be easily reported to the authority? But whose authority you want to report to? The one that will ask you to bring money. And if that person have money more than you, pay the authority. It means he is winning the case. So we have a country filled with anomalies. Except when something is done in this country, we will continue to have brain drain country whereby most of us, some of us are still here. Perhaps one day I'll also pack my family and run because I'm dead tired here. I am. If you have Nigerians over there in the developed country, just keep talking to them. You'll discover that most things have not really changed about them. The way they reason is still very myopic, very short-sighted. Despite the fact that they're in the development, it's like it's been registered in their DNA. It only takes maybe special luck for some of us to be a bit different, to be a bit almost part European, the good side of Europe and America, the good side of Nigeria, to form a beautiful person that we have become today, because I'm proud of who I am. Anybody who knows me and relates with me knows the way I think. So those are the anomalies I want to discuss here today. I would have loved to probably keep ranting and keep going on different anomalies, but the few ones that can come to my head is what I just pointed out. And using personal experience. I've had issue with police before. I've had issue. I was going at a point, I think that was 2011 when I was driving my Space Bus, my first car. The police stopped me and said, where are my particulars? And I asked, I'm a journalist. Particulars for what? Are you asking me for the police report, that the document that was given to me by the police, that I have the right to drive on this road? He said, no, my vehicle license. You are not a VIO, you are not a vehicle inspection officer, you are not a road safety officer. You want to be checking my police stopping me to check my spare tire. How is he his job? And when I came out and stood against them that no, this thing is wrong, the first one was cocking gun. I said, if you don't shoot, you are a bastard. That was what I told him. If you don't shoot that gun, you are a bastard. In broad daylight, though. Broad daylight. Then I wasn't married, and my girlfriend beside me was kind of screaming. I said, just go and sit down. Let him shoot. And let's see how he was going to escape here. You just must shoot and you must kill me. But if that bullet hits me and it turns back, you are a dead meat. And if you do that to a police, they will say because it's in Nigeria here, because someone wears the government uniform, they can bully you. They can walk, override the system and the regulation and the laws that is guiding both the citizens and the people who are supposed to enforce the law. They can do anything in as much as they are wearing black. Only God knows how many crimes that will have been swept under the carpet. Even the ones that are being to the glaring of the people. How do they react to it? People being shot dead in broad daylight just because they are wearing government uniform. So the only criteria and the yardstick to do anything irrelevant, to do anything bad in the country is to be under the authority. Whether you are doing right or not, just be an authority. This law of authoritarian or whatever thing, we are still going to break it one day. It's not working. Where some people just give themselves the position and make themselves lord over other people. The people who are lording are supposed to be the one enforcing what is supposed to promote unity among human beings. But unfortunately, that's not what we have in Nigeria. It's like that every part of the world, but our own is just too much. In America, there are other anomalies. Blacks being killed. Blacks are killing blacks. White are killing blacks. Sometimes whites even kill whites. It's just that it's not that common. Those ones still understood, the concept of color. It's not supposed to be the way we are living is not supposed to be the way we are living, whereby color, ethnicity, religion, gender, all sort of things cause disparity, you know, cause disintegration among us as human. They are not supposed to be. We are supposed to see each other as we that can't even see eye to eye as human. How do we see and appreciate animals and plants? And as humans, we just do everything inhuman. We kill animals at will. We kill plants at will. We don't even care how they feel if they are part of the ecosystem that makes this habitat livable the way it is. To be able to accommodate us as human, we just do anything. We are the virus of this world. We destroy things. After we are done destroying every other thing, we start destroying each other. That was why I said when I started my video by saying that the rich people and the wealthy people are even having this unconscious self-loath against it. Because if you don't hate yourself, why won't you try and build a very beautiful community in your community? You are taking away from the people, ripping them dry. And if you are sensible, if you are smart, you will know that doing that will cause a negative ripple effect to the people you are reaping. Because at the end of the day, they are going to come back and bite you and destroy every good things you thought you have developed. So anybody who is taking away from the poor, rather than helping the poor elevate themselves from the impoverished condition that the government have plunged them or they have personally plunged themselves into, if you are even still making from them, you are creating a time bomb. It's a matter of time. By the time the bomb implode on every one of us, we all see the result. So the best way is to first stop. I wish our government would be so smart one day and tell the people, like the China people did in the 1970s, 72 or something, by telling people how much children they can have, especially the poor one. It has gotten to that stage whereby people's life needs to be well managed. They need to start giving them tips to manage their life so that, because every rot people create in their different homes come back to develop and to create bigger rot in the society at large. But if people can be urged to probably limit the stupidity and the rot they are building, perhaps it could help. Perhaps. Perhaps. I'm done ranting for today because I'm even tired. I don't know where. If I'm to rant, I will rant about everything I've ever experienced as a citizen in this country. Is it to talk about people who are in totally impoverished, who still go to political rallies to go and shout, idiots, you are hungry, your children are not going to schools. And I see a lot of people shout, Dagaba, Baba, oh. I was like, people. Well, at the beginning, I started with the fact that they are malnourished, their brain doesn't develop, it's not well functioning. So, what do you expect? So, maybe we should first start making sure that people around us are well fed. And we should start encouraging people who doesn't have money to limit the responsibility they create for themselves. And the ones that manage to probably give birth to one or two children, they should be feeding their children well, at least for the first 4 years, so that their brain can develop and at the end of the day, they can bring positive impact to the populace at large, to the community, rather than giving birth to disasters giving birth to upgraded disasters, and upgraded disaster giving birth to advanced disasters, and disaster keep looming here and there in our country. Well, until I come your way next time, when I'll be talking about the part two of the video that I promised you on what and what you people can start to build, invest in, and whatever. Then before I follow, so that I'll make sure I said that the last time, but this time I am supposed to I'll make sure I keep putting out videos now and then. I don't put out frivolous videos. My videos doesn't entertain, but it repairs people's brain. It repairs people's mind. It brings you out. It brings out the consciousness. You have to be conscious of yourself. Me, I don't do Pan-Africanism. I watch Sean's video, Sean Kuti's video. He does more Pan-Africanism, whatever. Me, I don't do segregation. I just do human being are human being, irrespective of your tribe, religion, culture, or whatever. The only problem I have is one tribe in Nigeria. Despite the fact that most of the people that I have mostly as friends came from that tribe are the Igbos. Igbos are too tribalistic in nature. And most of my friends knows I used to tell this to them, and they cannot even argue it. They see it. Even among themselves, they still do tribe. An Anambra man can be friend to an Enugu man. He feels superior to an Enugu man. An Enugu man see an Imo or Ebonyi man as not. Even among themselves, they don't like each other. So I remember this morning when I opened my Twitter, I discovered that there's this girl who got 300 and something in JAM. That JAM claimed that he forged a result and whatever. When I went to the comment section, that people, if you see people, they have already turned into tribal war again. The Igbo people will shame them. I was like, a girl was accused. This is a personal thing. Why must you come and everything has to be tribalized? Obi did not win the election, or he won, he was rigged out. It became the Yoruba people, people who live in mostly the Yoruba land who still begins to abuse the people who you are living. How do you expect them to like you? These are still sickening way of living in Nigeria today. A larger chunk of Igbo people lives in Yoruba land. You come to Lagos, Abeokuta, Ibadan, Ondo, they are more in Yoruba land than Hausa land. The same people who accommodate you for years, for almost centuries, for more than 6 decades, 7 decades, you people will still have the infantry to abuse them. Some idiots will come out and say Lagos is no man's land. Well, they can try it with Lagos, let them go to Ibadan and try it. Mama fòkú wọn ránṣẹ́ sí East. A girl was accused of forging results, and everybody under that comment section already, it has become an ethnic wahala. As if the people who are in JAM office, there are no Igbos there who are working. One lady who started it, that I have forgotten her so-called irrelevant name, saying that the JAM people against they have insulted the whole of Anambra states. The Igbo people the guy is an Igbo guy. His light cannot be put off. He must shun. He must put them to shame. All those people, Nigeria cannot take Igbo. Instead of seeing people as people, they are seeing them as tribe. But I'm not surprised about them, because even they themselves, they don't like themselves. So it's like it was what destroyed their presidential chance. You are the least populated people in the country. Yoruba have more population than Igbo. Not to not talk of Hausa. Yoruba and Igbo combined, like they no reach Hausa. This same Igbo who wants their man to become president, who abuse Yoruba, who abuse Hausa, and they want. How do you want? Politics is a game of number. How do you want to win when you already show your intention to people that you people can't be trusted? You are not a people that preach unity. You don't preach togetherness. You only see your people. Even in the house where I live now, I'm the only Yoruba that lives here. Every other, almost 6 other people here are Igbos. And I'm sure by the time I'm leaving this house, the man will make sure that he put another Igbo here. I remember when I came to his house then himself, he doesn't want to give the house to a Yoruba. I had to persuade him just to convince him that I'm different. And I've always proven myself right. Because almost all the Igbo people he put in his house always give him problem. But till tomorrow they will still say, if Yoruba is speaking to another Yoruba and speaking Yoruba, the moment another tribe comes to in their midst, it will change it to a language that the other person who can't speak their language, which is Yoruba, maybe to English. If an Igbo see you speaking to another Igbo, like me being Yoruba now, if I'm speaking to an Igbo person, if another Igbo is coming, you will see deliberately, he will start speaking their language to him. And that's when you will see them start laughing just to segregate you. In their action, in their reaction, if you pay attention to this tribe, they are consciously, unconsciously, always so tribalistic in their way of life. That's another topic on its own, based on my experience. I don't hate them. But I dislike most people who came from them that are like that because nobody can grow. We are a country that has, from the last time, more than 500 different dialects in Nigeria alone. More than 500. And one particular tribe always segregate themselves. Even among themselves, they still do this segregation. Until I come your way next time, please stay cool. Please help me share this video if you like it. Subscribe. To the only way to encourage me is to subscribe to my video so that when I post any videos, if I have a massive subscription from you people, it will always encourage me. I will owe it to you. I'm not charging anybody any money. I'm not one of those people who say support me with. Don't support me. My own is I do this for free. It's just, what's the essence of me having all this in my head and keeping it there? The essence is to come out, share with people. I never can tell you my help shape some people's life positively. And it might entertain some people. The way I rant and the way I do things, it might entertain some people. But just subscribe, let me share with your friends. Please like my video. And if you have any comments, whether negative or positive, put it at the comment section. I will read them. I will reply you if I can. And the one that I don't reply immediately, if I have the time, I will reply because I have so many other things that I'm doing. I'm like a web administrator to almost like 4 websites. I do design for a company in America, and I still do other things. I still have to do a little bit of research before I come here so that I won't be talking jargons. Though most of the things I talk here are mostly from my head. I don't write anything down. There's no book or picture or video or computer that I'm looking in front of me. I speak from my head, from my mind. That's why it's same original and authentic because everything I'm speaking from is just something that is like having interaction with someone. So until I come your way next time, stay cool, stay blessed, and bye for now.